Hi there, welcome to my views and news. The 2 year long war between Tigray forces and the federal forces came to an end in 2022 November. More than a year has passed, but it seems that once again, uh, drums of a war are being beaten. Who is beating the drums of war? Is TPLF making preparations? Is it pushing for another war? Last few days, developments are very crucial, pointing towards serious escalation of tensions between TPLF and federal government. And reports of preparations for war are coming from Tigray too. I have details for you of what TPLF wants. Is it because the government is getting weak? Is it because TPLF wants a bigger share on national level in politics? Is it because of problems in Tigray? What is the reason? Why is that TPLF and TDF both seem to be frustrated, issuing threats to the federal government? Details for this video. Firstly, viewers, Kibrom Berhe is an Ethiopian opposition party leader from Tigray opposition party leader. He is from Betona party, political party, small party, obviously. Kibrom Berhe was interviewed last night, and there he said that TPLF is pushing for another war. So it's not my claim. Rather, an opposition leader from Tigray is saying that TPLF, Tigray People Mission Front, is making preparations to wage war. He went on to accuse TDF as well. He said TDF channels should disassociate themselves from TPLF's internal affairs, but now it is difficult to differentiate between TPLF and TDF. And he said that if a war is waged by TPLF, it wouldn't be Tigray's war, it would be TPLF's war. So, first point. Second point, Tadase Varede 2 days ago held a press briefing. Tigray top military officer, and I did a video. I spoke on that in last night's live chat. I shared details with you. Tadase talked about the Pretoria deal, that the Pretoria deal is not being implemented, that main clauses, main points of the Pretoria are not being implemented, like status of disputed territories, return of IDPs, withdrawal of non-ENDF forces, etc. All these main points are not being implemented. No start of political dialogue as well. He, in a way, threatened the federal government that if the issues are not resolved, the situation could lead to confrontation, tensions. So, a veiled threat from Tadasevere, the Tigray's military chief, to federal government. Before that, we heard from Debretsion Gebremichael, TPLF chairman, one of key figures in Tigray. He used the word enemy for federal government. We have seen some very strong statements exchanged between the federal government and Tigray government, Tigray interim government, federal government, and the TPLF. Tensions are there definitely. Question now is TPLF really pushing for a war or not? Or not? Well, firstly, we can analyze these developments from different angles. One angle is that TPLF, TDF leadership is frustrated. Why? Because TPLF still is not eligible to contest any election in Tigray. TDF's DDR, demobilization, reintegration of Tigray fighters, could not be completed within the given time frame in Pretoria deal. Federal government and international donors dragging their feet, and Tigray interim government is under pressure from these veterans, from combatants. Tigray has a standing army of more than 200,000. So Tigray government is under pressure. How to counter this pressure? Second issue. Thirdly, more than 1 million IDPs in Tigray. No signs of their return to. Federal government wants a selective return of IDPs. No start of dialogue between, or you can say dialogue has been held behind the closed doors, but the proposal shared by the federal government to break the deadlock over Volkait and Raya is unacceptable for Tigray. That is what Tadesse said 2 days ago. He said interim government does not have the mandate to authorize a referendum in Tigray. So the two sides are not in agreement about how to resolve the issue regarding the status of Raya and Volkait, and several other issues too. So one angle is that TPLF and TDF are frustrated. They believe that federal government is not honoring its commitment. Tigray is not being given enough aid, enough support, and people will die if there is no intervention. How long will international community continue supporting Tigray? Federal government is not focused on resolution of problems of Tigrayans. This is one angle. The second angle is that maybe TPLF now believes that Prosperity Party is weak. That this is the time to strike. This is the time to strike Addis Ababa, to strike Prosperity Party in alliance with others who want to reach Addis Ababa. And this is the time to remove the government of the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. By the way, the groups fighting in the Amhara region and in Oromia are in touch with TPLF. TPLF struck an alliance with Ola, if you remember, when Tigray fighters were pushing towards Addis Ababa and they were in the Amhara region. 9 or 10 parties struck an alliance in the US. They formed an alliance. TPLF was part of the alliance. Ola, two groups from Somali region, Sidama, etc. They were part of this alliance too. TPLF shared an alternative to the international community, so that if TPLF and TDF managed to reach Addis Ababa, this alternative setup could be put in place in Addis Ababa. But we saw that due to introduction of drones, then intervention from Eritrea from the north changed battlefield balance in support of Ethiopian federal government. So the second perspective is that maybe TPLF believe this is the time to strike, and that is to hit the Prosperity Party, and Prosperity Party government can be dismantled now, especially when we know that Fano is very keen. Fano groups are keen to strike, to form an alliance with the TPLF. A few weeks ago, we saw that when Fano fighters stormed a prison camp in Dangala, Amhara region, they captured Tigrinya-speaking ENDF members who were imprisoned there. They treated them with respect. They released them, and these Tigrinya-speaking members, when they returned to Tigray, they appreciated the way they were treated by Fano fighters. Ola, as I said earlier, has been an ally of the TPLF. So maybe TPLF believes that now, in collaboration with other groups, it can reach Addis Ababa and remove Prosperity Party. Third perspective is that maybe TPLF believes that it has been restricted to local politics. Even locally, it is not allowed to have its share. It is being denied its status. It is not eligible to contest party election. So it should have greater role on national level. And by the way, this greater role was the cause of conflict in 2022 when TPLF had been pushed out of Addis Ababa, restricted to Tigray. But TPLF did not want to be restricted to Tigray only. Federal government wanted to eliminate TPLF. So we saw start of war. Maybe again TPLF wants greater share. It does not want to be restricted to Tigray only. Another point, very important, is Eritrea-Ethiopia relations. If now a war breaks out between Tigray and federal government, what will Eritrea do? Will it intervene to support federal forces like it did in 2020, or will it stay neutral? Because we know that Abiy-Isas relations are very tense these days. Ethiopia-Eritrea relations very tense these days. Ethiopia, Abiy, Isas relations deteriorated after PM Abiy gave a 45-minute long speech more than 3 months ago, and he tried to prove that historically Ethiopia had every right to gain access to the sea. And then we saw some statements from Eritrea, Somalia, Djibouti, all rejecting PM Abiy's position about access to sea. And then Ethiopia signed MOU with Somaliland, and it worsened Ethiopia-Somalia tension. So regionally, Abiy, according to TPLF, is not expected to get any support from neighboring countries. And I said 2 years ago too that the difference between TDF and ENDF was EDF. Difference between TDF and ENDF was drone power too. These two factors were key factors in tilting the battlefield balance in favor of federal government in 2021, 2022. So maybe TPLF believes that this is the time to strike. This is the time for action. Now, let me sum up. Can we say that on the ground mobilization has started, and in coming days we're going to see start of war? Difficult to say. I think that federal government and Tigray both are sticking to their positions. Tigray wants to get most out of the current situation. Current situation is that definitely Fano fighters are posing a challenge to the Prosperity Party. Ola already posing a challenge. Tigray wants as much as it can get from the federal government in terms of financial support, in terms of greater political clout in Ethiopia, in terms of decision about status of Raya Volkayet, in terms of restoration of TPLF status. Federal government, on the other hand, I think is seeing that something is wrong, that TPLF is making some preparations. That is why there is serious deficit of trust between the federal government and Tigray interim government TPLF. So coming days are crucial. I'm not saying war is going to break out between Tigray and federal government, but tensions are rising. And I have been pointing towards these tensions for months. I've been saying I have been saying you need a new Pretoria to cement the Pretoria, because key issues were not addressed in Pretoria. You need to restart dialogue. And interestingly, Tigray is not talking to the federal government. Talks have been held. Two sides met. Getachew Debretsion-led delegation held a meeting with Abiy a few days ago, but it seems that the meeting did not work. That is why now Tigray says it will talk to federal government only through African Union. African Union, which was declared partial by Tigray by TPLF in 2020, is now the main mediator for Tigray. So all these developments are pointing towards serious escalation of tensions between the federal government and Tigray People Liberation Front. There are opposition parties that are confirming that TPLF maybe is pushing for a war. Let's see what happens. Think, Foj.